live. Just 15 minutes late. No big deal. I think we are close to being live.
I'm
I
gonna
know there's
check.
like this delay here. Does it always catch the middle, the first part of this, even if it isn't live?
What's that?
Does it catch our beginning comments, even if it isn't live? Oh, we're live.
Yeah, we're live now.
We're live. We're live at the Demon Erasers Ancient Angels podcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Ancient Angels podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about a plethora of interesting things. Also, I have a little bit of show and tell, but this is a preview for the next episode, though. But check this out, JG. Have you seen this before? This is an original dollar bill. Is it lit enough? Can you tell?
Yeah. Hold that. You had it
Is
upside
that?
down on the one side.
Oh, okay. This is one of the original prints of the original dollar bills. And we're going to talk about some of this stuff. And we're going to talk about the art on it. Like, for instance, there is like certain gods, we'll say, and goddesses on these original dollar bills that supposedly were a Christian nation, right? So I've got a bunch of these original dollar bills, guys.
Big money.
They're big. It's big money.
Big money.
And we're going to be talking about that. And I was gifted this. So somebody, I love you, my people. My people are so awesome. Somebody gave me this Freemason Bible, which is incredibly fascinating and occultic. We'll just get into some of the demonic stuff. This though, I don't know if we're gonna go here yet. I don't know, guys, because this is a lot. There's a lot of stuff. And then I got another thing that I was gifted.
You're gonna tease the people like that. You could say, "Oh, we're
I'm
gonna
gonna
talk about
tease
this,"
people.
but not today.
This, look at this, bro. The newspaper from the first. I got two of them from Off to the Moon. This is the right before they went off to the moon, and we're gonna talk about all the hidden occultic messages in here. Okay. So that's coming up on the next episode. But
Man,
today
you
we're gonna stick with
tease.
genetic. I know it's a tease. It's such a tease. But I gotta go through it all before we just like. I mean, I guess we could like wing it and go through it, but I want to find some like good nuggets to like share with everybody before
Uh huh.
we like drop it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
I guess.
I guess JT's disappointed. You know. Today I want to talk about is some stuff pertaining to, I think, what's more imperative, what's more important, is the things that is pertaining to. Um, let's talk about genetics. I want to talk about genetics. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of dinosaurs today too. But I want to talk about genetics specifically. I want to talk about some stuff because me and JT were talking about this Nathan Reynolds character a second
Oh, cool.
ago.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Is that what his name was? Nathan Reynolds, right?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this now.
I'm gonna limitly talk about some of this, but we're not gonna go into full detail. But a lot of people have commented that Nathan's the real deal to me, and to check out some of his stuff, guys. I cast out demons, yo, and I just want to let everybody know that I can tell pretty well when somebody is demon possessed. And I can tell you that there's a lot of people in the Christian space that've got a lot of demonic agendas, and they're pushing for those demonic agendas to be true. And those agendas are not in alignment with love. They're not in alignment with the truth. They're not in alignment with Jesus. They're not in alignment with anything. They're in alignment with uh, creatures that are, monsters and blurry stuff. And of course, we love talking about this stuff. I love talking about it, and it's very fascinating. And I research it obviously and explain it. But there is like a lot of people putting out misinformation things that are pertaining to this subject, and I want to kind of clarify some of these things. Um, because and then we also talked about can a spirit be in a body and how that functions. And in order to get into that, this might be a whole nother this might be like 3 episodes because this is long. There's a lot of that I'm talking about right now. Started prefacing all of this.
Yeah, what are we actually going to talk about? I feel like you're gonna try to lead up to what we're going to talk about, but
Yeah, that's kind
but
of
what are we going to talk about?
yeah, exactly. So I'm just praying, Lord God, just give me understanding on what exactly how you want this to go. You help us in the direction that you want us to lead everybody, Lord, and what we want to say, what you want us to say, Lord, and what you want your people to hear, Lord. So I just ask that you give me guidance and understanding and words, um, and how these things and whatever it is that you want us to do, Lord, in the name of Jesus. Amen. We're talking
Amen.
about dinosaurs. Today we're talking about
Oh man, I thought we were
dinosaurs.
gonna talk about the pack of dogs thing.
No, well, it's gonna lead into that, but I
Okay.
got to start with the basis of it before we get to that.
We
Okay.
should probably show that video if we're gonna.
Yeah, yeah,
We have to,
we'll
we'll have to
show
show
the
the
video.
video.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that where we show the video. Okay, but we got to start with the basis, guys, and the basis, unfortunately, well, I think it's cool. I think it's a great subject. Is dinosaurs, and I know that sounds silly, but there's a related connection to all of the things that are going on in the world related to dinosaurs, and the reason why is because it's related to genetics. And for those that don't know, if you haven't seen Ancient Angels, I talk a little bit about it, but I got to work with Jack Horner. He is one of the lead paleontologists. That he's actually the reason what the Jurassic Park movies were modeled after. I got to do a little bit of work for him, and I asked a little bit of questions and stuff, and then created something. I named his company Dinogenesis, which was his project that he was actually trying to turn chickens into dinosaurs. I actually was the guy that came up with the name for his project. But that didn't end up like health stuff or whatever. He kind of stepped away from it, and it's kind of been going. And there was a lot of stuff they tried to do when it came to genetics that didn't really work out. And so this is before I started doing what I do now, which is casting out demons. I was very much studied in the sort of genetic space and demonology as well, and I just wanted to know answers to a lot of things. And so but this is Jack Horner. This dude is literally the guy. If you guys don't know, you can just type in Jack Horner TED Talks. He's actually a very famous paleontologist. The Alan Grant was named. He was like modeled after Jack Horner. And when it comes to paleontology, he actually broke the narrative and the paradigm of the current understanding of dinosaurs, because the current understanding before he stepped into the thing was like there was like something like, I don't know, 40 different or 60 different types of dinosaurs in North America, like different varieties. And when he came in, he was like, "Hey, yo, no, there's not." He was like, "There's like 12." And they're like, "What do you mean there's 12? There's 40." And all these scientists were like, "No, we've got Nano Tyrannus and we've got Tyrannosaurus." And he was like, "Nano Tyrannus and Tyrannosaurus." He's like, "How about maybe that's the same creature?" And he was like, "And you guys are not paying attention." And so what he did is he actually cut open the dinosaur bones, which is a big no-no in the paleontological world. It's like you never cut into the dinosaur bones. Well, he said, screw it. And he started digging up dinosaur bones and he cut into them. And he saw that the little dinosaur bones had a lot of spongy tissue, which means there's a bunch of holes in the bones, which means the bones are young. And he saw that the bigger dinosaurs had solid bone, which means the bones are old. So bone gains density as it gets older, like there's spongy versus solid. And so, anyways, he started cutting open dinosaur bones, and he started realizing that instead of 60 dinosaurs, there's only 12, which means there's
Well,
not a lot of these creatures that they have misaluded everybody to believe in.
let me ask you a question,
What?
Brian. I gotta ask
What's
you a
up?
question. So, if they were cutting bones in half, doesn't that kind of imply that they weren't fossilized?
Well, they weren't fossilized. That's the point.
Well, wouldn't that? I mean, isn't that kind of against the narrative too? They found just
Oh yeah,
regular
yeah, yeah,
bones in
one
the
hundred
ground. I mean,
percent.
like, isn't that in itself like yeah, you would know that they weren't old if they weren't even fossilized.
100%. I'm going to tell you right now something that I learned from him that he won't talk about anywhere, and it's very fascinating, is that he's carbon dated the dinosaur bones. And he won't tell nobody that he's done it because he said, and he actually got asked to do it publicly by a Christian dude on a podcast once. And they turned out to be around 6 to 10,000 years old. The dinosaur bones did. So
Interesting.
yeah. And so, but he won't say that they're that old. He won't say it because he knows that if he does, he actually openly admitted this on a podcast. And maybe I should bring that podcast up and play it
Yeah,
or
you should.
something.
Yeah, I should find a clip
Because,
of that. But
yeah,
the one thing I
because
was gonna
he,
say too is like, so what is the let's just say you took a human bone and you just buried it like in the backyard or a dog bone or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And how long would the bone last? Do we have like an idea? Because obviously the fossilization process means you have to have rapid burial, right? Like
Yeah.
it has to probably be packed super tight in order for it to turn into stone, basically,
Mm-hmm. There's
right?
certain conditions that
But
allow
if
it to
you
turn to
but if
stone.
you just had like a normal like an animal just died on the surface of the land, and then eventually sediment kind of covers it, wouldn't it likely just to be deteriorate? Like if it was to a certain age, right? Like I mean, how long could a bone last without eventually turning back to dust?
Yeah, so I don't know the rate at which organic matter decays because it can decay pretty rapidly, especially if it's in the stomach of an animal. Like bones actually dissolve, in dog
Oh
stomachs and
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean they would if they were in
So
like stomach acid and stuff like that, right?
yeah, so it depends on what it is, like in the circumstance. And yes, I will get T-shirts. I will, Trish. I promise.
Yeah,
Um,
get the gotta
I
get the
know.
t-shirts to the peeps.
Yes, I'll bust it out. I'll bust it out very shortly. Very shortly. Okay, so yeah, when it comes to fossilization process, for those that don't know, I don't know. Did I mention the way that dinosaur bones have been dead? Have they been found? Um,
Well, some of the isn't some of the bones that are barely buried, like some of the dinosaur bones they found, they were barely. Some of them were like sticking out of the ground.
yes, there is a lot of
Now that don't
situations
make
where
no sense because they tell us that the reason why some of these cities are buried, like ancient cities are buried, is because naturally sediment kind of just starts to fill in. Well, then you got this dinosaur, and I use the big air quote. You got this dinosaur bone that's literally sticking out of the ground. Wouldn't it be way down in the earth if it was 66 million years old?
I would imagine that would be the
It
case.
probably wouldn't be on the top layer.
Probably wouldn't be no. So I don't know though. There's rumors, right? But those rumors of these kind of things don't ever, um, you know, end up being very provable, supposedly, right? But this is the funny thing. I'm gonna show you guys something. This is we'll actually first let's get into before I mention this pose thing that the way in which they die is very significant. I don't know if you know that. It's called the death pose.
Mm-hmm.
Dinosaur. Do
Yeah.
you know about the dinosaur death pose?
Yeah, I do. I know we talked about it on a previous podcast. But real
Yeah.
quick, just to finish up on that point, was that okay? So the funny part about I always bring up when we talk about the mud flood and the millennial reign stuff and the hidden
Mm-hmm.
history stuff is that they uncover Roman ruins all the
Yeah.
time. All the
Mm-hmm.
time. They dig pretty deeply into the ground to find Roman ruins. They find buried cities, buried churches, buried whatever down under the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You really think about it. So if the Romans supposedly ruled about what like 1500 years ago, kind of like the end
Mm-hmm.
of the Western Roman Empire. Okay, just consider that. And so most of Rome was buried like 45 feet under the ground. Now
Oh,
think
that's
about again.
deep. That's real deep.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So think about that. So
Yeah.
now think in the context of what the science is telling us about dinosaur bones. So how deep are the things that are millions of years? 60 million years. Isn't that what they say that whatever the comment, whatever the
Yeah. Yes.
cataclysm was,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
66 million years ago? Okay, so Rome around 1500 years ago, way into the ground now. Lots of things
Mm-hmm.
buried. How deep would they have to dig to find dinosaur bones? If
I
they
you
were
know.
if they were separated, that's exactly basically what Gunnar Heinsohn was saying, like that what tells the true story of archaeology is the strata. So where things are buried in the strata would kind of indicate how old they are. So if you find things that are at the same strata level, it's likely they were around at the same time. Makes
Yep.
sense to me. So if you find a dinosaur bone at the same strata level as you find
Or
Roman
above it.
ruins or
Or
above
above
it,
it.
it really doesn't make any sense other than to say that they're not that old.
Yeah. I would concur. Okay, so the interesting thing, guys, though, but I'm gonna go back to Jack Horner real quick because I got to talk about this in genetics aspect so that way you understand that, like, really what the genetics are of the Nephilim. This leads back to Nephilim understanding, guys. I know it's a long way around to get to it, but we got to get it there. Talking about this, and we've talked about dragons and stuff. I think, did we do a podcast on dragons, or should we do one? We need to do one.
We probably should do one specifically on dragons. I
Yeah,
know we talked a lot about it when we did a podcast about dinosaurs, and
yeah,
we probably paid way more attention to either what we believed about dinosaurs, and we kind of just gave lip service to say, yeah, they could have been dragons.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, the
we should do something specifically about dragons, maybe like the mythologies and especially the things in the Far East about the land of the dragon.
oh yeah, 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 totally, totally. And then
Hmm.
okay, or like okay, so in anyways, the when Jack Horner was cutting open the dinosaur bones, he saw that they were spongy. He saw there was little ones that were spongy, and he saw the big ones had dense bone, which meant they were older creatures. So he reduced the amount of discoveries of dinosaurs from like 60 down to like 12. Okay, like think about that. Like they're like science wants to name everything. They just want to be like, oh, we found this. Oh, we found this. It's a nanotyrannus, and this is a tyrannus. It looks the same, only it's smaller. And it's not a baby. It's just a nanotyrannus. It's a different species. That's basically what was happening. All right.
Hmm.
And he kind of balked the whole system. And he was given like an honorary degree, even though he wasn't actually, I don't think he fully had like a degree. He was actually given an honorary degree by a college because the amount of discoveries that he had made to in the field of paleontology was so ginormous. Like he was the first to hypothesize that dinosaurs cared for their youngs, or that they had feathers on the T Rexes. He was the one that discovered all this.
What a great job it is just to make stuff up and like anyone could really know.
Well, that's the thing. Like he
Like a
hypothesized all
great
these things.
storyteller.
Well, that is the crazier part. So like this dude hypothesized this stuff, and then he was able to prove with evidence of things he was finding, like similar subtle things that he recognized, and he was like, I think they had feathers. And then they started finding some of the fossils they found had feathers before, but they like kind of didn't recognize them as
How
feathers. And so
how much weed smoke is involved in these coming up? Maybe they had feathers, man. Maybe they had like they're really good to their youngin.
yeah, I don't
Like
know.
who do you think would
Uh,
win between the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Brontosaurus?
uh, I don't know.
This
I
is
don't
like, and
know.
this is they end up turning into computer animation, and this is what they show to kids.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you see the dinosaur, the T Rex with his stupid little hands, his two little fingers, and you're just like, that's the dumbest looking thing ever because, like, that's not what those were. Those were wings, guys. The T Rex had
That's
wings,
what I think. That it does.
100%
It
he had
really makes
wings.
no sense to have a giant thing with, yeah,
Yeah,
that like
with stupid little
if
hands.
it fell over, it wouldn't be able to get up.
Maybe it would. I don't know.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It would be
Yeah,
pretty
it'd be awkward.
difficult
It'd
to
be
not be able to
awkward
do a
for
push
sure.
up.
Yeah, for sure, it would be seemingly awkward. But I mean, like ostriches get up, so I mean, whatever. The
They got wings though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's basically what the T Rex had wings, and then it's very obvious that they were wings, especially when you look at ostrich skeletons. Okay, so let's. What I wanted to point out though was that the narrative of dinosaurs had been shifted quite a bit, and then when they started cutting into the bones, they found soft tissue. Actually, like JT was saying, they actually discovered soft tissue in the bones when he was cutting into them, and they realized, oh shoot, these aren't fully fossilized bone. This is soft tissue. This isn't as old. So they were actually able to carbon date the bone and realize that it could be, but they never announced how old, young it was. They never wanted to tell anybody. But I'm telling you because I've listened to him on a bunch of stuff and talked to him about things. But he won't admit it, and he's like literally because the whole scientific community was already after him when he canceled like everybody's discoveries down to like 12 dinosaur bones. It's or 12 different dinosaurs instead of like 60 or whatever.
He gave up the game of them just making stuff up.
Yeah, he did. He eventually got to a point where he was like, "Look, if I go this far, he's like they're just going to like I'm not going to exist anymore."
He went scorched earth on them.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of the carbon dating, just real quick,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what Gunnar Heinsohn said about carbon dating?
Uh-uh.
He said carbon dating's a prostitute. You can get it to do whatever you want it to do.
Yeah, well, it's true. You
I
can to
mean,
some
but I
degree.
think that's the point. Is like it's kind of a scientific tool, but it's really not all that scientific. Whereas it's not accurate enough to really be. It's something interesting, but it can't be used as like, let's just say it wouldn't hold up
Mhm.
in court.
Yeah. Well, you can. I mean, there's ways to manipulate it. Yes, there's absolutely ways to manipulate carbon dating
But
systems.
if you see the variance when they said they send certain artifacts to different labs, the degree of like swings from this one lab said it's this old versus this lab said it's this old.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we always have to point out the fact that what carbon dating is it's the rate at which carbon degrades. So if this thing had carbon and how much carbon's degraded and how long it would take. But again, that seems like that you're kind of basing everything on the idea of how quickly carbon degrades now,
Well, yeah.
when it's kind of ridiculous to think that like all the conditions are the exact same if you did believe something was 60 million years old,
Well,
which
yeah.
even in their own theories would say that the conditions on earth were different then. So like why would you ever conclude that carbon degrades at a continual like rate in like a vacuum? It always stays like that. It's
Well,
not like the whole thing is not accurate.
it's just assuming that the atmosphere, carbon in the atmosphere, has never changed throughout history. That's the flaw of this. And thank you guys for the donations. I appreciate you so much. Max Packs, awesome. And thank you so much. Just cause, thank you, appreciate you. And yes, and Trish in the donation, and Vicky, you're amazing. I appreciate you guys. You keep me going. You guys keep me going. Awesome. All right. So the other thing about when it comes to understanding dinosaurs and genetics is that rather than going into the paleontological version this time, we're going to go into the genetic space from dinosaurs this time. And I'm going to tell you something that I learned in genetics that was not something that actually got me in the connection with talking to Jack Horner specifically, was because I asked a question that he was kind of like, hey, what, like, how do you know that this is a interesting subject? Like what, like, do you study this or something? And I'm like, nah, I'm just a dude. Like, to just read stuff. So like, anyways, what I ended up doing though is I messaged him and I was asking him like about genetic peaks, okay? Because there's a method of what they're doing right now to try to recreate these dinosaurs in genetics, and there's a method of what they're doing, and they are taking dinosaurs, or they're taking chickens. Okay, Jack Horner's taking chickens and he's genetically tweaking them using a process called transgenesis. Okay, transgenesis is not. It's when you take genes from one animal species and from another and you put it into another. Okay, this is transgenesis. You can actually take the glow gene that makes glowfish glow, and you can actually inject that one gene transfer into a rabbit, and you can make glow bunnies or glow pigs. Okay, this is transgenesis. All right,
It sounds
and there's
like Transgenesis 6.
yeah, Genesis 6. That's totally what it sounds like. You're right. Transgenesis 6 for sure. And when you see that that process of mixing the genome, that's one way of getting certain genes. Now, if you do that too much, the creature won't be viable, meaning it won't give life. Okay. There's another method what they do, which is turning genes on and off. Okay, and that's basically a form of eugenics, really. And they can go in and say, "Oh, we don't like this gene. Turn it off. Turn it on. Turn it off. Turn this one on. Turn this off." They got a way of taking chickens so far. This is what they've been able to figure out about mapping the chicken genome and turning off certain genes, which is basically animal sacrifice over and over and over, and it's torture. And it's evil in a sense. So, but what they've been able to do is they've been able to get it to where the chickens can be born with a snout, and the snout can be born with not just a snout, but with teeth. They can actually get the chickens to be born with a nose and with teeth.
Have you seen
Okay,
pictures of this or
I
video?
haven't seen pictures of it, but this is what I've been told from Jack Horner stuff with what they were able to achieve. I mean, the photos are probably pretty terrible. Like, you don't want to like look at a
Yeah, it sounds
dead.
kind of
It's a
like an
dead
ugly
fetus
thing.
baby. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like good. It's not good. It's a dead baby chicken. Like,
Like it's stillborn.
yeah, it's like a still, but they don't want to take photos of it and show people because people will probably be disturbed by what they're doing.
Right. Well, they would probably have people picketing out in front of their
Oh yeah,
organization if they showed the genetic mad science they were doing.
yeah. It's human sacrifice and animal sacrifice. It's evil. Okay, so but they've been able to get the chicken to have a snout and teeth. They've been able to get it to have a tail, but they don't quite know if the tail is just moving the hips of the chicken up more because it's still so young that the tails grow. So they don't quite know if the tail is whatever. And they can use transgenesis to get actually scales from like a lizard and genetically throw it into the thing too, potentially. But if you do too much transgenesis, the creature won't survive. Okay, the creature will just die.
Mm,
Now, if you
mm.
do too much tweaking to the creature, it will also die. Okay, so if you do too much eugenic tweaking, it will just basically die. So it's basically deformed chickens. They're making deformed chickens, and genetically tweaking these things to pervert them, right? And they're trying to get them to look like little raptors, little dinosaurs. Now, if that chicken reproduces a chicken, its babies will not look like it. Its babies will still hold the genetic code of the chicken. So if it produces another baby offspring, even if they tweak it to look like a little raptor, its children will only be chickens. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well?
Yeah,
Like,
no, it makes sense.
yeah, so it because all they're doing is mutilating this one creature by tweaking its genes. They're not genetically changing it, they're mutilating the gene. Okay, so they're literally like disfiguring this creature to look like a certain thing that they want it to look like. Kind of terrible, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
They're
what's the point of that then?
just to have a cooler looking creature. I don't know what
Do
their
you think
point
it's do
is.
you think it has something to do with them trying to prove the idea that dinosaurs were, or dinosaurs evolved into chickens?
You
So they could
know,
say, "Hey, look, sometimes they look like this." You're like, "Oh,
I
look,
don't.
maybe something skipped back to 60 million years ago, and we have like a little hiccup, and it's a
I
little dinosaur."
It could be some kind of thing to prove something. I don't know what their purpose is, but all animals have genetic peaks, okay? So they cannot tweak the chicken any more than the variety that the chicken has available within its genetics. And what that means is like basically you can make a cow strong, but it can only be as strong as the strongest cow has data for it to be. You can't make the cow any stronger. And in fact, we have an example of this. It's called the Belgian blue.
Oh, is
Have I
this the
showed
real
this one?
muscular cow thing?
Yeah, the Belgium blue cow looks like
Clearly
a
steroided
freaking
out.
bro. It looks like a rhinoceros. Okay, it's like I'm gonna share the screen on this one
Those things are
actually,
ridiculous.
because when you see this thing, it's like whoa, that is absolutely looking like a rhinoceros. Screen share, boom, share. There we go. All right. So when you see this, tell me when it comes up. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. This is genetic peaking. All right. This is a Belgian blue cow. This thing looks like a freaking rhino. Like it's like doesn't look it doesn't look like a cow.
That thing
Like
looks like it's got pretty high testosterone.
bro, yeah, this is
It's
like
got muscles on top of muscles.
yeah, like look at it next to this dude here. Like this thing looks like a monstrous creature. Like dude, this is such a ridiculous thing. But this is still a cow. Okay, guys, this is still a cow.
So but they modify these things. Is that
Yes, they genetically. Well, here's the thing. These aren't actually being done. These are being done through mating the strongest cow with the strongest cow with the strongest cow. So genetically, its offspring will actually come out stronger. It's a little bit different than genetic tweaking and deformities.
Oh, so
But
this
this
is
is
just
just breeding,
selective
selective
breeding?
breeding. Yeah, selective breeding is what it's done.
Dang,
This.
these things are, like I said, they got to have some really, really high testosterone counts.
Yeah, but this cow, like to the extent of what it's at, this cow is still just a cow, and it will still mate with a normal cow, and it will produce a cow. And the Belgian blue cows, these are basically an example of selective breeding that has gone to the nth degree, but they can't make the cow any bigger than the cow's muscles already are now. It's not going to continue to grow. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, they can't just, in 100 years from now, these guys have been breeding these cows for I don't know how long, but in 100 years from now,
And what are they doing with them?
I don't know. They show them and then maybe they eat them. I don't know. Um,
It might be like pretty tough, all that muscle though.
I have no clue. I have no clue. But here's the thing: like in 100 years from now, the Belgian blue cows are still gonna look just like that. They can't get any stronger or any bigger than the biggest ones get because the genetic code isn't there. Like you might
Right.
get one-off freaks that might every once in a while have a double of the size or something, or like a little bit bigger, but that doesn't mean that that spontaneous gene is going to continue to permeate in that thing, right? They've already done it enough to the point where you get these weird looking freakish cows, right? Now they've done this genetic mixing to chickens as well. In fact,
They
they've
they
done
got
it to
they
make.
got roided out chickens. Is that we got
Bro,
chickens with lots
that's
of?
every chicken you eat is probably one of them, bro.
Oh, well,
That's
yeah, that's true. They're all hormone. They're all injected with all kinds of hormones, and that's true.
well,
That's actually true. I tell you what, I said I recently tried to start eating healthy, like in a lot more ways than I used to. Just back in the day, a chicken breast was a chicken breast, but now I really am like I know a little bit more about that GMO stuff and the things they inject in these things, and
mm-hmm,
and I remember, like I like to eat I like the chicken thighs, the boneless chicken thighs. And one time I
mm-hmm.
got a pack of them, and of course I was just in a hurry. And these things were so big, and I was just like, "There's no way! Like,
What kind
what
of
kind of
chicken?
chicken did this come off of?" And it was making me sick to think about it. I couldn't even eat it after that. I was just like,
Oh,
"This is
that's so funny.
it's so not natural." It's just
What kind of
ugh.
chicken is this? Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's what I'm
it's
saying. Like, how thick that chicken would it be?
somebody said they do this with Percherion horses, yeah. They do it with a few different animals, and calroids to the max for sure. Pray over your food. Yes, pray over your food. Just renounce it. He said you can eat poisonous things, it will not hurt you guys, so don't trip. Just like pray and rebuke it. Like that's what I do. Anyways, so they do this with chickens right now. Every chicken you get, in fact, they've genetically peaked chickens so much so that what's happened is that the chickens now grow at the fastest rate they can grow. Okay, from gestation to like or birth to adulthood happens within like I think like 3 months or something ridiculous. Like the rate at which chickens like they've like bred for these species of growth, and not only that, they've
Wait a
also
minute. So
bred for them
what is the normal time it would take? And so
something like 6 months. It's like half the time I think they've done it.
they cut it in half and they make them way
Yeah,
big too.
yeah. In fact, they grow so fast and so big and so muscular that their legs break. Their legs can't even withstand
Yeah.
the strength of the muscles that grow on the chicken at this rate. So their bones, everything's growing so fast on chickens right now that oftentimes it happens at poultry farms is they go through and they find the sedimentary broken leg chickens that just can't walk. And they have to like, I don't know what they do with them, discard them or throw them in the meat grinder right away. I don't know if they're still alive or whatever. But there's chickens that have broken legs literally because it's because their muscles are growing so too fast for their bones. And this is the current state of animal genetic peaking that we are facing. Okay, so genetic peaking is basically when animals they've got or when creatures of any kind reach limits that they can't go beyond. Thankfully, the muscles of the chicken I have apparently they were able to tweak the muscles of the chicken and didn't figure out a way to tweak the bones along with the muscles, so they can't get it any further than what it is
Do you
apparently.
think it has something to do with the fact that the maybe the bones would not?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the size of the chicken is increasing faster than the rate of kind of like your bone. Because it's kind of like when you're
Yeah,
born. Like your bones are not fully formed. They're not like really hard like they are when you're older. So what if
yeah,
what
it's
if it has
something
something to
like
do with
that.
that? Is like they're not
Mm-hmm.
strong enough to handle because the growth is unnatural.
Yeah, exactly. Also, there's like, just natural like use of your bones, like the little shock waves. You actually get little hairline fissures in your bones, and those little things like create stronger bones. And the animal's not able to do that because they grow so fast. So it's just like the bones don't solidify or it reach its full potential maturity. And
Hmm.
so this is what we're running with right now. This is the issues that we're running into in genetics, genetic peaking. So super chickens that everybody's dealing with. Sorry for grossing people out. Yeah, I know it's gross, Trish. the so the so yeah, this is all literally what people are trying to achieve or overcome in the scientific community, and they can't. Okay, they cannot overcome this. All right, they literally can push it to the max, and then the animal starts to fail or die, and they can't get any further beyond that. Okay, even with and the chicken way they're doing it is not just selective breeding. They're doing other methods of gene alteration to create it to where it produces these super chickens. And so it's a little bit different with chickens than it is with just, other creatures that are selectively bred. They're definitely modifying these creatures in full degree. Apparently, I heard something about them trying to give them like 4 wings too, so that way they had like more wings or something at like I don't know. It's like that was a KFC thing I heard. Which KFC, whole nother thing. There's all kinds of craziness going
Oh,
on
the
there.
the KFC commercial with the weird egg, and
Believe
it's
in
like,
chicken.
yeah, and then they like seem to dip some person in, I guess, the original recipe and
I
eat them.
Yeah. I don't even.
It
It makes me
really,
not even want to eat there ever,
really. I mean, again, like that doesn't make you want to eat there. It's really strange marketing.
bro. I wonder how much they've lost in their revenue like by releasing that commercial. They thought it was gonna be funny, and it probably like dipped so bad. You
It's
guys
just like
realize
really,
how
it's just
powerful
like I said, you
everybody
don't want to
is?
have any kind of association with cannibalism in your brand that you sell as a food. It's
No.
just like gosh, well, like what it does seem like sabotage. Like what were they trying to do? It's like, yeah, do you think the funny outweighed the weird?
I don't freaking know, but all I know is that you guys are so powerful as a community, and when we band together and go against something, like you guys, we are so powerful together in unison that like we have like basically are bankrupting Disney right now, and it's hilarious. Like I think it's fantastic. And like, dude, remember when
They're
Target?
bankrupting themselves with
I know,
every bit of
yeah, but
trash
we're
they put out.
exactly, but we're the ones like saying, yeah, nope, we're not watching that. Like they think they can just spoon feed us everything. We're so powerful as a community, dude. We kicked Ellen DeGeneres off of her television show. Do you guys realize that? I hope you guys realize that. Like we are so good and strong and powerful as voices that we got Ellen DeGeneres canceled, bro, in a replace her show because it was the stuff that we were like conspiracy people were like saying, hey, yo, this seems not right. Isn't that her girlfriend or whatever that died in that car accident? Yo, that seems not right. Like she had to get
Yeah.
canceled, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
great. Like we have power, we have authority in Christ, guys, and so just stay true. Like knowing this stuff is power. It gives you strength. It gives you understanding to basically change the world. We really can change the world. Anyways, okay, back to genetics. What I was talking about this is very significant, is because like when we come into this understanding of like genetic peaking, like what animals can and cannot do, there's another thing that we can do with animals, and it's called chimerism. All right, so we can actually take blue jays and red robins, and you can actually mix them genetically to where half of the creature is a red robin from the bottom down, and from the top half is blue jay up. And if you were to take a piece of genetic material from the red part of the bird, it will tell you it's 100% red robin. And if you were to take a piece of genetic material from the blue part of the bird, it would say it's 100% blue jay. Now, this is another form of genetic tampering in the zygotic forms of creatures that they do that create chimeras, or chimerism is what it's called as well. And this can happen with blending creatures in the zygote. Like right now, you can actually take like a bat and a lizard and you can blend it in the zygote as well, by the way. You can blend this creature in a zygotic form and it will grow a creature. Now, here's the crazy part. This is what you need to understand, and I understand this from working with the geneticists with Jack Horner's projects. They were trying to do this. Um, Hello, beautiful little season community. Yes, welcome. Virtual reality witness. Yes, appreciate it. And oh wow, saved by Jesus. Thank you for the donation. You guys are awesome. Um, thank you so much. Okay, so anyways, the when you blend these creatures in the zygotic form, when you blend them, they will form a creature. Now, here's the crazy part, guys. If Jack Horner tweaks the chicken too much, the chicken will grow to the point of birth and it will about to be hatched and its heart will just fail and it will die. Okay? This happens over and over and over and over and over. So do you remember when they said in the news the first monkey human hybrid was announced? Do you remember that, JT? When they announced
No,
that monkey human
I don't
hybrid?
remember them saying a monkey human hybrid. Was that in China?
Yeah, it was in Japan or China or something. They were announcing it. Let me bring
What
it
did
up.
people? What were people's reaction to that? It seems like Something we're not cool with.
Well, but here's the part they didn't tell everybody. Okay, so the part of the monkey human hybrid that people don't realize is that the first monkey human hybrid could not grow beyond the point of gestation or whatever. Like it would not. Here I'll just share this so that you guys can see it. Share screen.
Yeah, you think the God would say, "Nah, you guys are not doing that."
Yeah, God's like, nah, okay, so this is the first monkey human hybrid. And when you see this, it's like they talk about the monkey human hybrid and the embryos or whatever. Dude, this is nonsense. Like, this is international team creates first monkey human embryo. Okay, this is not the first, by the way. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been genetically modifying creatures for a very long time. U.S. and Chinese scientists grows first monkey embryo with human cells, but why? Okay, nonsense. This is stupid. Okay, and oops,